Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I usually wait to say this until the end of the videos, but I think that a lot of people miss it, so I'm going to say it right away. If you want to comment on this video, you're going to have to either follow me on Instagram or check out my YouTube community tab, because YouTube has not allowed comments on my channel for almost 2 years now. I also ask that you would like, share, and subscribe. So I feel like a broken record sometimes when I keep bringing up Brave New World and I keep bringing up 1984 and all of these dystopian novels because, yeah, it seems like we're living in a dystopian novel right now. And, I've talked about neurolinguistic programming lately, and that happens in Brave New World, and it's happening out in society now. I've talked about forbidden speech, or what is called Newspeak in 1984, and how that is being instilled in children now. And we've also talked about the thought police, Big Brother, the list goes on and on. But now I've come across another article today that shows that no, I'm not crazy for seeing this correlation. So let's look at this. Asking students to inform on Thanksgiving travel draws reader pushback. After Governor Phil Scott yesterday announced that on Monday, school workers will ask both students and parents if they traveled for Thanksgiving, Associated Press reporter Wilson Ring asked if this plan puts children in the position of tattling on their parents. So first, I have to point this out right away. I believe that Governor Phil Scott is a Republican. So I know that a lot of times we look at the Democrat governors as the ones who are really pushing these draconian orders, which is true. I live in a state with a Democrat governor and we've dealt with a lot. But no, this runs on both sides of the aisle. Governor Phil Scott is a Republican governor. So I really have to say, be ever vigilant. Even if you live in a state with a Republican governor, don't think that you're going to be immune to this stuff. Anyway, so continuing on, it says, Scott replied, "This is fair warning. If you're planning on having gatherings outside your households, if you don't want to have your kids in remote learning and quarantined for a 7-day period, maybe you should make other plans. I'm not sure it's tattling on anyone." Do you see the danger in this? So we have a governor who is encouraging people who work in schools to question parents and their children over what they did over Thanksgiving break. So the time that these kids are spending not in school, in their own private households, they're going to be questioned about and are basically going to be asked to inform on their parents over what they did. And the thing is that who's to say that this isn't going to continue and they're not going to start doing this about everything? Because you can't take one holiday and think that that's the only time that people just might decide to do what they want to do rather than what, the governor tells them to do. How many times have we seen over the news lately stories of Black Friday shopping? We've seen stories, and I feel like I'm completely repeating myself from what I talked about the other day, but it's like these stories just keep coming nonstop. It seems that these governors, they don't care about Black Friday shopping. They don't care about the rampant consumerism. They don't care about riots. They don't care about anything unless it holds true to the values that are at the center of every family. Thanksgiving is a family holiday. You don't see the governor telling the school employees to ask the kids if their parents went Black Friday shopping, where there's likely to be loads and loads of people, more people than would ever be at a Thanksgiving dinner. But even that would not be okay. It is not okay for any government to have a teacher questioning a child about what they and their parents did over the weekend. This is not okay. So let's keep reading. Scott and Health Commissioner Mark Levine argued such questioning is difficult but necessary to limit a greater pandemic outbreak, which would require further educational and business restrictions. Please, I'm going to say it again. How is one holiday, Thanksgiving, going to cause a greater pandemic outbreak in comparison to everything that people are doing every other day? I'm going to say it again. This is an attack on the family. Many, but not all, commenters on Vermont Daily, and other online news platforms disagreed. Well, good. Representative-elect Art Peterson commented on Vermont Daily. He said, "Our governor has seriously overstepped his authority here, in my opinion. To demand that students of all ages answer questions about how they've spent their time during a federal holiday is unethical, if not illegal. And to ask businesses to do the same to affect the wages and employment of good people is beyond obnoxious and heavy-handed. The tone of this is that most of us cannot and will not make good decisions." And that's really what it comes down to. I'm just adding this in here. These governments, they feel like they're our parents and that we are their children who are going to make really, really poor decisions all the time, and that they do have to be really heavy-handed and very strict, and they have to pretty much control every aspect of our lives. So anyway, and then it says Governor Scott needs to apologize to the people of Vermont for his insulting and arrogant pronouncements. And this comment here I actually really loved. It said, "A pastor who reads Vermont Daily counsels parents to tell children to refuse. This is communism at its worst. Teachers spying on behalf of the government, asking kids what they did outside of school. Parents should instruct their children, whether they submitted to the governor's rules or not, to refuse to answer any question a teacher asks like that. This is Big Brother at its worst." And then it says, "The late timing of the announcement troubled a Burlington reader. Why did Governor Scott wait until 1.5 days before Thanksgiving to announce the Scott snitch on parents-grandparents mandate for kids? Great timing. We planned on having Thanksgiving using social distancing and separate tables like going to a restaurant. This mandate is what you expect living under a totalitarian government." And that's really what this is. We are starting to fall under a totalitarian government, and unfortunately the people who do live in these red states, and I have to say that some governors are great, but we cannot get complacent about this. We cannot think, "Oh, well, I'm safe because of who my governor is," because no, this is going across the aisles. And, to then encourage also school employees to be questioning kids about what goes on in their home life, that is not okay. That is a complete invasion of privacy. Now, when I read this comment from the pastor, he said this is Big Brother at its worst. Big Brother is from 1984, if you haven't read that book. And so I want to give you the perfect example of why I keep comparing stuff like this to the book 1984. So I got this is on eNotes, and this is from 1984, and let's just read what it says here. "Of the comprehensive Big Brother system that monitors the thoughts and actions of Oceania citizens, the child spies are an important component. The children," Orwell writes in 1984, now this is right out of the book because it's in quotes. Let me just highlight this quickly. I actually wanted to do this before I started recording, and I forgot, but I want you to know exactly where I am talking about. Okay. So the children were systematically turned against their parents and taught to spy on them and report their deviations. The family has become, in effect, an extension of the thought police. It was a device by means of which everyone could be surrounded night and day by informers who knew him intimately. This is really the gist of it. These governors want children to be informants. So let's just continue. So then it says, "Thus they did much more than simply keep an eye on them." Whoops, I just lost it. Okay. "Thus they did much more than simply keep an eye on them. The child-parent relationship is one of intense emotional connection. The very survival of the human species, at least before the time of Oceania, depended on it. The children know their parents better than others, and thus can report on..." Okay, I had to go open this up in another browser because it wanted me to order it in order to read this answer. So anyway, let's just start here where I highlighted the very. So the very survival of the human species, at least before the time of Oceania, depended on it. The children know their parents better than others and thus can report on even subtle differences in their behavior. Some adults were especially concerned that they might utter something in their sleep, a betrayal of their subconscious, and have it overheard by the telescreen or a child. What is the motivation for the child to give up a mother or father? They were rewarded with public acknowledgement. The government would honor them as a hero whose selfless act helped protect their nation. Does this sound familiar? Thus, the promise of this recognition keeps the kids alerted to the most sensitive inclinations of their parents. Does any of this sound familiar to you? We are living straight out of a dystopian novel, and we cannot just sit by and just quietly watch it happen. Stand up for yourself. If you have kids in school, and if they are being asked questions that completely invade your privacy, you need to tell your children to refuse to answer. Better yet, get your kids out of these school systems to begin with, because if you think that it's going to ever get better, you're sorely mistaken. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that, and I hope you have a great day.